right, welcome everyone to the inaugural edition of the Blue Jay Insider. My name is Ernie Larossa. I'm the Director of Athletic Communications here at Johns Hopkins. My pleasure to welcome you to this first ever initiative of the Blue Jay Insider. And moving forward, we'll use this space to interview current and former Blue Jay student athletes and coaches. And our first edition here will focus on men's lacrosse. Many of you probably know not long ago, Johns Hopkins picked up its all-time victory number 1,000 with an 11-10 victory here at Homewood Field against Loyola. Johns Hopkins became the first men's lacrosse program in history to reach that 1,000 win mark. And I'm thrilled today to be joined by three members of one family who have played a big part in the Hopkins lacrosse tradition for more than 50 years. And it certainly was kind of came to a head there on the day that we picked up all-time win number 1,000. So joining us today are Joe Cowan, class of 1969, a three-time first-team All-American and national champion. And from my records, Joe was here just before we picked up our 500th all-time win. Then his son-in-law, Dan Evans, played at Hopkins in the 1990s. And again, if my records are correct, was a member of four teams that went to the Final Four and was a part of the 700th all-time victory in Hopkins history. And then Ryan Evans is second-year member of the 2022 Blue Jays, who happens to be Dan's son, Joe's grandson, and played a key part in that all-time 1,000th victory. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for taking a few minutes to join me here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. As we approached that 1,000th all-time victory, I was hoping a storyline would develop more than just it being the 1,000th win, which of course was a story in itself. And Ryan, of course, you decided that you would announce your presence that day, scoring two goals, one that tied the game late in the third quarter, and then one that ignited a 3-goal run that eventually gave us the win over Loyola. First, I'll start with you, Joe. What does it mean now, more than 50 years after you play, to see your grandson being a part of something that you were a part of, in your younger days?
Well, there's so much pride in the Hopkins culture and tradition. You dream one day that maybe one of your grandsons could participate in it and experience the wonderful experience that I had. And it's actually thrilling to go watch number 49, Ryan's number, out there on Homewood Field. It's one of those pinch me kind of moments.
Dan, similar question, for you as a dad, what is it like now to sit in the stands? It's probably a little nerve-wracking, but also probably, as Joe mentioned, a lot of pride there as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think nerve-wracking is absolutely one of the emotions. I mean, I guess as when you're a player, you kind of know what to expect, and you have certain things that are in your control. And then as a parent, you feel out of control and helpless, and extremely hopeful that your son in this instance will succeed and the team will succeed. And it just unbelievable pride to see him out there and having come through the COVID years and having lacrosse cut short, and then to ultimately get on the field and then contribute. And to your point, Ernie, the 1,000th win, when that popped up on the big screen after the game. And to think about that, I literally snapped a photo of it and texted it to Joe, and said verbatim how cool that 3 generations have been part of those 1,000 wins.
It's pretty amazing, for sure. Ryan, I'll turn to you. Growing up, I remember seeing you at Homewood Field, and I remember, if I'm not mistaken, you made a trip up with the team to the Big City Classic. Maybe about 10 years ago, rode the bus with us, and Joe was with us on that trip. What's it like now to be a part of this, something that you grew up with, but also to follow in the footsteps of your dad and your grandfather?
It's special. Definitely, like, not many people can say they've done this. But yeah, it's definitely very special because Peeps, my grandfather, obviously he bleeds Hopkins blue, and my dad does. And like, I've kind of been just around it so much that I never really wanted to go anywhere else but this school. And so I'd say it's very special and unique situation to have this kind of opportunity.
Well, it's certainly been great, since you've been here, for me to just get to know you and your classmates who are now sophomores. Of course, last year was a little bit of a challenge with COVID, of course. Yeah. But I think back now, and I've been here for a little while, and Coach Millman actually said something pretty unique after the 1,000th victory. He said, it's truly special to be here for the 1,000th, but it's one of 1,000. This is just a milestone one, but it makes you think back to the hundreds of men who have worn this uniform or have coached here and who have been a part of building this tradition and this history. Is pretty humbling. Joe, can you talk about what it's like to be a part of something that is truly unique in a sport? The winningest program in school history. When you put on that uniform, you're forever a Blue Jay. We like to say around here, and there's a brotherhood among former Hopkins lacrosse players.
There's no question. It's very similar to Ryan. I grew up coming to Homewood Field and watching Mickey Webster and Billy Morrill and that crowd win lacrosse games back in the late 50s. Particularly, I think the last championship they won was 59, if I'm not mistaken. And then there was a bit of a drought from 59 to 67. 67 was my first year on varsity, and it was a thrill for me to be part of that team that got us back on top again. So, it's a long culture, big tradition, and a little school like Hopkins competing with all the big boys is not the easiest thing in the world to do. But Hopkins has done it year in and year out.
Without a doubt, the schools that we compete against, certainly in the Big Ten now, but even back when you were playing Maryland, Navy, Virginia, much larger schools than Johns Hopkins. Dan, as you look back now, you get a little bit further away from your own playing career. Is there more of an appreciation now as you look back for that experience you had?
Without a doubt. I think obviously to the tradition and to the wins and being part of the thousands, back in the day, there was maybe 10 schools that you'd consider to go to compete for a national championship. And without a doubt, Hopkins was the premier institution for lacrosse. It's obviously an incredible school. So to combine the academics with the opportunity to play lacrosse at the highest level was just something that drew you in. And then to go and be able to, have the success that our team had at that time, and go into battle with those guys, your brothers, because that's truly what it is. I mean, there's war analogies, that you're fighting for the guy next to you, and to go out and compete with those guys and play on the highest level of lacrosse is just, it's been extraordinary. And those bonds that are certainly formed with blood, sweat, and tears just last a lifetime. And so for Ryan to be able to experience that now and share in that brotherhood is it's just really cool.
It's pretty unique that the three of you here and having all sharing in that unique experience now that Ryan is here. Ryan, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about that game and the 1,000th win. So there was talk heading into Loyola. I mean, it wasn't a secret that we were one win away. What was the feeling on the team? Was it talked about in the locker room? The opportunity to do this on Homewood.
Well, so to be honest, we didn't really know a whole lot about that. It was or could have been our 1,000th win. So yeah, there wasn't much talk about it. We kind of came off that loss against Georgetown. And it was pretty emphasized all week. We need to make a statement. And so we just put our noses in the grindstone, and basically we're just working hard all week, not focusing on any outside noise or anything like that. So obviously the outcome was what we wanted. But it was great to be on that field that day, especially kind of like I dealt with a bunch of stuff earlier in the season. So that being my first game on Homewood and making that statement was definitely pretty cool.
Let's jump right into the game there. You're right in the middle of the action, and when you're in it, you're probably not thinking about anything on the outside, and that sounds like you guys didn't focus much on 1,000 at all. But talk about that first goal that you scored, the emotion, the adrenaline that kind of came over you. I mean, that's a pretty good spot to pop that first one in.
Yeah, it was cool. Cool little play. I mean, kind of swept my left hand. Just kind of knew they weren't really playing picks very well. So I saw an opportunity, since I had a short stick, to kind of give it to Joey, who's obviously an incredible dodger and has great change of direction. So gave it to him, and I kind of set a little swing pick, and it just basically happened. I don't know how else to describe it. I just slipped away, caught the ball, and just kind of let it go for a 5-hole. And I don't know how to describe the emotion. I mean, I was super fired up. It was the coolest experience of my life to score my first goal, especially being on Homewood and my basically first game or first home game.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it was surreal. I can't really describe the emotions that was going through my body.
Well, having seen you play now for 2/3 of this year, emotion is certainly something I would say you play with. It's always exciting, when positive things happen. 49 is pretty excited when he's out there. It sounds like, Joe, you weren't here, but Dan, you were. Dan, initial thought when that goal went in and tied the game. It wasn't just a goal; it was a big goal.
It was, and again, that's that anxious feeling as a parent. You see him kind of get in the box, and you say, okay, it looks like he's going to come in, and then the ball moves around, and you're just never sure. It's certainly life as a parent of a midfielder. There's a lot of moons that have to align for the middies to kind of step in and help and contribute. And to Ryan's point, he had a great little pick there, and Joey, it's being who he is, a leader on the field, saw Ryan kind of, slip the pick and hit him, and then, just smile, just a big smile. I'm sitting there with his mom, and we both looked at each other, and Ryan alluded to it. He had kind of an accident, a boating accident actually, in January. And so the season was in question. He had to have some emergency surgery to put his shoulder back together. And there was just so many unknowns and so much uncertainty about Ryan and the season, and then to have it all kind of come to a head and have him score, and as everyone alluded to, in a big moment, in a big game on Homewood Field, just pride. Our chest swelled a little bit. We felt pretty darn good.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure that was a great family moment to be there. Joe, I don't know if you were watching at home or
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on.
But I know you and I
know me better than that.
You and I did talk about Ryan and the boating accident not long before this happened. So, what do you remember about that moment, being not here at Homewood, but being able to watch it?
It's a thrill watching your grandson do something that you've always dreamed that maybe he could participate and contribute. And not only that goal, and then he scores another goal when he later on I think it was the fourth quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, I believe. Anyway, and he made a great left-hand move and scored another one that was, I thought, pretty much for me, a culmination of a lot of things that he had to overcome. And, I was just thrilled for him. It really was.
Yeah, there was a lot of things going on. And like I said earlier, I was hoping a storyline would develop. 1,000 wins is a story in itself, but this certainly created a unique opportunity. Ryan, we'll jump ahead. That was the end of the third quarter when you tied the game, and then Loyola took the lead. We scored the last three, and you really kind of got it started for us with that second goal. Just describe that, and again, kind of like you're feeling it now, I assume.
Yeah. So kind of when I went in for like my second goal, that possession, I was like I was very juiced up, and I was very excited, and I was like, okay, I'm now starting to find my rhythm and calm down. And so basically I remember just kind of like, I think it was Joey catches the ball and he's sweeping. And usually what Joey will do is just try to throw a huge skip pass right through the open side, because I was wide open on the backside. But he gave it to Jackson, who then gave it to me on the low left wing. And I just remember everyone always says it during practice. I throw a head fake when I dodge, and I remember I threw the head fake and I threw the jab, and I just came over top of him and shot it. And I mean, just like the first goal, I was super fired up, and it went in, and everything like that. And I remember just coming onto the sideline, and everyone's like, "Oh, you did your head fake! You did your head fake!" It was unique, and it was special. I mean, it was pretty funny, but it was a cool situation to be in.
I'm sure it was, and I know being there when it happened. I know you were mobbed when you went to the sidelines, and it really it got us going. It really propelled us to that victory. Started that game-ending 3-goal run. Scott Smith, of course, came down and scored a pole goal to win it, and or the 11th goal, I should say, that proved to be the difference in a 1-goal win. Dan, since you were here, conversation with Ryan after the game. How was that?
Fantastic, right? A big hug and a kiss and congratulations, lots of smiles. There's, again, as we look at 1,000 wins, anybody that's participated in any of those wins knows there's just an energy on Homewood Field after a big game and a big win, and certainly a crosstown rival like Loyola. So there's all the normal emotions that are just always there, and then obviously hey, you got your first one, and congratulations, and think about where you were and where you are, and a lifetime of hard work on many lacrosse fields and many walls and many practice facilities, to kind of have that all culminate. Just enjoy it, breathe it in, and enjoy it.
Joe, were you able to have an opportunity that night to talk to Ryan? I don't know when you guys first connected after that game.
No, I sent him a text. So I'm sure he was having a great time with his teammates. Anyway, it was a great win. Loyola was a heck of a program. So you beat a top flight program like that. Loyola, to be honest with you, has had their way with us last several years. And, we certainly played awfully well in that game. And, we came away with a victory. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, actually, Loyola has had they've done a great job over there, and it had been a little while, and that was a big game as I looked at the year and kind of earmarked. Every game's a big game, but I remember thinking that's a game we need to win. We need to beat Loyola. We need to get kind of over that hump, if you will, and to have it be on Homewood, to have it be the 1,000th, and then Ryan, for you to be able to be such a big part of it, and to be able to share that with your family. 3 generations here today, truly unique. And I'm sure the 3 of you will look back on your whole Hopkins experience with a lot of pride, but also specifically on that day. I'm sure you'll think back and have great memories. I want to thank you guys for taking some time to just share some thoughts on what it was like to be here that day, be a part of the Hopkins Lacrosse program. Certainly we'll be looking forward to watching Ryan play the rest of the season. Dan, Joe, thank you so much for joining us.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.